What if optimizing your metabolism was the key to unlocking your best life? Welcome to the Life Possible podcast, where we bring you cutting-edge insights, real-life transformations, and powerful strategies to help you win the fight against obesity and metabolic disease. Join host Dr. John Barnes as he explores the science and stories of transformational metabolic health, because when you fuel your body right, you unlock your greatest potential. From leading experts in nutrition and wellness to inspiring success stories, this is your go-to resource for education, motivation, and empowerment on your journey to a healthier, more vibrant life. Your best life isn't just possible, it's within reach. Let's make it happen together. Here's your host, Dr. John Barnes.
Hey, welcome back to the Life Possible podcast. Hey, real quick, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. John Barnes. And the reason I'm actually doing this podcast started off as a very personal journey for me. You see, back in 2015, I found myself fat, sick, and depressed. And I'll tell you, the worst part about it was I didn't see a way out. I had broken my metabolism. I had ruined my metabolic health. I had no idea what I had done. And everything that I tried didn't work. And so I literally had given up. And it's at that point that I found the Ideal Protein Nutrition Program, which is a ketogenic weight loss program that literally saved my life. I was able to turn my health around, lose the weight that I wanted to lose, regain the ability to actually exercise. And the rest is kind of history. So I went down the rabbit hole to understand insulin resistance, everything related to metabolic health. And now I decided that I wanted to bring the best experts in the ketogenic, low carb, metabolic health space to everybody, so that you can learn what I've learned from people who are much smarter than me. And so with that, who do I have today? Well, I tell you, I've got Dr. Amy Gutman. Man, I tell you, this is going to be a fun show. I start off with this introduction that I stole off of her webpage because I think it's extremely compelling. What if you could lead your life and your leadership in the way an ER physician runs a resuscitation? Calm in chaos, decisive under pressure, and unshakably resilient. Dr. Amy Gutman is an award-winning emergency physician, executive strategist, and internationally recognized keynote speaker. What is she doing on my show? Now, her work bridges with the worlds of frontline medicine and high-stakes leadership. For over 3 decades, she's served on the front lines of human crisis, from pre-hospital rescue missions to the chaos of urban trauma bays. She is now translating lessons from life and death into actionable strategies for resilience, metabolic health, and leadership performance. Without further ado, I am going to bring in Dr. Amy Gutman.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am great. Actually, I love your triathlon picture. Which triathlon was that? Which triathlon was that?
Thank you. At the age
Ironman,
of 54,
right?
At the
Crazy.
age of 54, I did a half Ironman. Oh, humble brag. I did a half Ironman in Augusta, Georgia.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was in 2021. As a ketogenic low carb athlete. It was a dream that I had long since discarded in my late 20s, when I traded everything in for a medical practice, a chiropractic practice, a family, and all the things. And lo and behold, became fat, sick, and depressed, and never thought I'd ever do anything like that again. So, like I said, when I was able to regain my metabolic health, I said, why not? Let's give it a shot again. And so,
was it in the back of your mind then when you were doing things like, I know they show it on, I'm trying to remember which news program, but they always show the Kona every year, and it's just so
Yeah.
like your heart beats when you watch it, like, ah.
Right? Yeah, no, that's always been the dream. And it's okay. I've done mine. I'm good. Yeah.
I did
But
baby ones. I did sprints and Olympics.
Did you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
found it a way of being bad at 3 sports all at the same time on the same. I'm a
Oh,
I'm
stop.
a horrible runner. I'm terrible at cycling, and I swim very slow. Although in residency, did my emergency residency at LSU, and the
Oh,
director
wow.
of the program said, "I don't care what you do, but you will do a sport." So it's like an elective in college,
Yeah.
and he said it's something outside of residency, and it's good for the mind. And a lot of us chose triathlon, and
Wow.
you're never going to have a better swim time than you will in Louisiana because um, interesting, they have a kayak in front of you, in front of the swimmers, and kayaks on either side and kayak behind it, and that's for like the alligators and the water
Mm.
moccasins.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Right. Right.
you tend to have good swim times because you
100%.
don't want to be, you don't want to be the last
Well, you don't have to be the fastest. You just have to be faster than
than
the
the
slowest person.
slowest. Absolutely. I was often very close to the slowest person, but I finished. Actually, it's funny. My husband's job for triathlons was getting me off the bike or catching me because I never learned to unclip.
Oh my God.
So my strategy always was finish as quick as I could, get to the bike, and then slow down just enough and find someplace grassy to fall
To
over,
fall down.
and then unclip, and then go over, because I just never could figure out how to get my feet out of the
Oh
darn
my
cliffs.
God.
So that was
Oh
my
my God.
strategy. My husband would be like with a pillow. So
I'm not
that's
going to be
my
able to get.
triathlon.
I'm not going to be able to get that visual out of my head. Oh my God.
Well, after doing it for 5, 6, 7 years or something like that, I have one decent picture because even at my fittest, and triathlon days were like fittest, although I'm fairly
Oh,
fit now.
yeah.
I'm a short, stocky woman. We are, sort of Eastern European, and we're short and stocky. I'm not muscly. I'm not rippled. My abs are very well coated, even at the lowest body fat percentage I had.
Yeah.
And I always looked like somebody who had like thought it would be a good idea and started 5 minutes before. But I do have one spectacular picture of me like leaping into the
Yeah.
water
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
all my stuff on. And I'm like, oh, I
Love
look
it.
like an athlete.
Right. Right.
That's
And
it.
nobody can
7
take
years,
that
one
away from
picture.
you.
That's it. I got it.
Oh my God, I love it. So Amy, I wanted to start back at the beginning with you because I don't know your kind of your full personal journey. Number one, you are an ER physician and you have been for how
Yeah.
long?
I I actually did surgery and like trauma surgery and critical care back in 2002 for a few years for residency. I actually went to an out of the country medical school. I went to Saba University of Medicine, the School of Medicine, and to get into an emergency residency at that time was extraordinarily difficult if you were an international grad. So I thought surgery would be really interesting, and it teaches you how to do things with your hands and think at the same time. And it was quite
Mhm.
brutal because it was before the days of what's called the Bell Commission, which limited physician training hours to under 90 a week. So just picture that in your mind. It was like, oh, it limited it to under
I
90.
know, right? This is what I'm thinking.
And which I honestly think in some ways is actually beneficial, especially if you're a surgeon, because you have to figure out how to be at your best sort of all the time. So
Mhm.
I started residency in 2004. That is how old I am. And the field has changed a lot, but it's also not changed a lot. So I started EMS. I was EMS in firefighting in 87. And we had a spiral bound book. That was our manual or a spiral book.
Right, right.
Now it's volumes, hundreds of pages. And what the average basic level EMT can do in the field was what the craziness that like, you know, critical care paramedics. It's the field has changed extraordinarily well, but it goes back to the ABCs. You learn that in school. It's, area breathing circulation and hold
Mhm.
some pressure
Yep.
until the bleeding stops. And so I've worked primarily nights my entire career. other than some random rotating shifts and days, and one very painful 8-month period where I worked all days, which
Like the rest of us.
so it's good for your cortisol, it's good for your metabolism, it's the way people are wired. But some people are wired a little differently. And, as we were talking about, I'm delightfully awkward. And so functioning with normal human people during the day, I'm sometimes at a bit of the loss. My night shift people we always walk around sort of grumbling and grumpy and using our own language, and there's often a lot of swearing and no hospital administrators, and it's really quite the loveliest thing. And it's translated very well to my professional life as well, because a lot of business people and leaders are, I think, very night shifter in their mindset, in that they're very free thinkers. They think around problems, if not through them. And they always have to figure out how to innovate on the fly. And so I think the way that a lot of business and executives think is very night shift in that mindset, if not
Got it.
time of day.
Got it. Got it. So yeah, so we're going to get to it, but basically, you're taking your messaging to corporate executives, and it's a messaging, an undercurrent of metabolic health, and how metabolic health kind of sets the stage for
Yes,
just brain health and decision making and being your best, right?
100%. And I'm sure you see this in your practice all the time.
Yeah, 100%. And so I find, again, I find that most people in this space, and people who are vocal about it, speaking about it, writing about it, doing all the things, is because they've got a personal story themselves.
Yes.
So can you tell us your personal story with your own metabolic health?
Sure. I was, and don't get too terribly excited, I was a vegan for 37 years.
37? Wait.
37 years a vegan.
Holy wow.
I know. And I was 100% convinced that it was the only way to live. It was a healthy way to live. And I really think for a long time, it actually worked well for me. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I didn't recognize it. I was quite the chunky vegan, as one does, because I lived on everything that's processed, right?
Well, no,
Um,
I'm going to call time out.
Completely. Yeah.
I'm going to call time out right out of the gate, right?
Yeah.
Because again, theoretically, that's an oxymoron. A chunky vegan or an overweight vegetarian, like that, in my mind, that never used to compute. And I had a population, it was part of their culture, was to be vegetarian, coming
Yeah.
in for chiropractic care for a while, and I was amazed that they were overweight and hypersensitive and inflammatory and
Yeah.
like all these things, and it never made any sense to me.
And you think about, so what do vegans cook in? They cook in, quote, vegetable oils, which are industrial oils, pro-inflammatory.
Right.
You have processed food, so tofu. So you can be a whole food vegan and be extremely healthy, but it's also extremely difficult.
Difficult, yeah.
Difficult. The substitutes, the meat substitutes, the protein substitutes. So one of the things that always intrigued me working in the ICU, I did an ICU, a resuscitation fellowship, and worked in the ICU for a bit of time, and an ED ICU as well, is patients who would be traumatic brain injury patients who unfortunately are on feeding tubes, feeds for their life. And I'm like, how are they 400 pounds? Because some of them are literally 400 pounds. Like, I don't understand. But you look at the formulas that they are
Yeah.
fed, the tube feeds,
Yeah.
grains and seed oils are a huge part of it. Well, if you're feeding grains and seed oils to a person, the same thing you're feeding it to animals that are ready for slaughter to get them fat for slaughter. Why would feeding something that's pro-inflammatory to somebody that causes weight gain and unhealthy
Yeah.
it worked well, although maybe it didn't. I think actually, oh, I'm sorry, my culture brain just left. Singer who uses a flute, who's now eats meat, who everyone got mad at because she eats meat.
She uses a
Lizzo.
flute?
Lizzo.
Oh, I didn't know she used a flute.
I think she plays the flute.
Okay.
Anyway, so Vintage Tutorials was talking about her, and I'm like, oh yeah, Lizzo, and I'm like on my phone desperately, and I'm like, who is Lizzo? And I'm like, oh, she's actually quite good. After the fact, I figured it out, but she was a vegan forever. She's quite heavy, and I think that was part of her thing. She's like 300 plus pounds. I think she used one of the GLPs initially, got quite sick, and then she turned to animal proteins. And a lot of her audience turned on her because she went from vegan to essentially ketogenic. When I became menopausal, as one does, my health just absolutely deteriorated very quickly. And as a physician, it was a horrifying thing. It was terrifying. I did not know what was happening to me. And it wasn't, I used to,
Right.
I'm like, oh, it's hot flashes. And it's not, it's this huge vasomotor response from the entire body. It's this huge systemic. And I was so sick. Like literally thought I was dying. And my husband says, it's one of the things that when you go from being healthy to all of a sudden you can't stand up.
Yeah.
And I had dropped to like 92 pounds. For the first time in my life, I was like emaciated. And although the part of me that loved being a size 0 was like, this is fantastic. I look great in clothes. People are like, God, you look awful. And I felt awful.
Yeah.
And I'd stumbled upon a random article because I was, doing my own research. Like, I didn't really have a doctor, but I tried to get some things done because I didn't know you could do that as an individual. I'm a physician. I'm like, I can order my own labs. I had no idea. I literally had no idea about this. I was very traditional medicine. I believed everything that I'd read in journals. And my doctor, who is a resident who I've underwear older than, she's like, oh, nothing's wrong. It's
Right.
just, you're just getting older. And I'm like, I'm going to hit you. Help me off the table, young lady. I'm going to hit you.
Yeah. Right.
And
Right.
so I discovered this article, and it was talking about the effects of a ketogenic diet on metabolic health. And it had focused on actually interesting Ayurvedic practices of using ghee for thousands of years to treat menopause. And I'm like, butter? I don't know what does butter have to do? And I'm like, oh, cholesterol. Well, cholesterol is a progenitor hormone. Okay, well, that I guess, oh, it actually sort of makes sense. Oh, but that's unhealthy. Oh my gosh, I'm going to die of heart disease. Can't eat butter. And I started going down these various rabbit holes. I'm like, this kind of makes sense. Physiologically, this makes sense. And then I dove deeper and dove deeper. And I, you joke about, I just want to be healthy. And now you believe, in chemtrails or whatever it is. And after 3 months of getting sicker and sicker and sicker, I compiled literally piles of articles that I had read. And I'm like, I think I'm ready. And one morning after shift, I'm ready. I said to my husband, he's like, you look awful. He said, what can we do? I said, I think I'm going to have a hamburger. He goes, I think we should get a CAT scan. I think it's time because, I was having such horrible migraines and such blinding loss of vision. So I we had lived in a very little bougie town, and I went to get a little bougie hamburger, and he's staring at me like, I don't know, he expected me to explode or something like that.
He's like, yeah, this is not happening. This is
never eaten a hamburger in my entire life. Even I was like, I think 11 or so when, and I'm like, pretty good. And it wasn't miraculous because it took 72 hours for me to start going, because I had gotten my little watch because my heart rate was going from like 30 to 180. And it was just sick sinus syndrome. And I noticed it was going from 50 to 150 and then 55 to 100. And then it just sort of settled. And the rashes were gone. My thyroid, which had always been out of control my entire life, just sort of settled. And very quickly, I put on about 15 pounds, which I wasn't so excited about, I have to tell you.
Well, but
But as one does, and I'm like, but this is where my body's supposed to be. And in
right,
about
right.
30 days, 30 days, I had probably resolved about 90% of the symptoms. And I had become a true believer, not because I was just N of one, but because I spent every minute I could figuring out why I knew nothing about this. Been a physician
Right,
for decades
right,
and knew nothing. I thought cholesterol killed people.
right.
I thought low carb was the way, or the high carb
Yeah,
was the way to go. I thought, right, I'd never had butter. I'm like, oh, margarine is the healthiest thing you can eat.
right, right.
So
Mm,
once you discover something is untrue in your life, the science, then you go, well, what else doesn't work? And it was a complete reevaluation. And I've mentioned this before in different podcasts. I went into this actual huge depression after getting healthy for a bit of time, because I'm like, how many people have I harmed in my career?
wow,
How many people have
wow.
I done harm to? And for somebody who prides themselves on,
Right,
one of my ICU docs, his name was Bruce Kramer, who's still practicing up in an ICU in Bassett Hospital in Cooperstown, who I idolize. He wouldn't say primum no nocere, which is first do
right.
no harm. He would primum do goodum, first do good. And I love that. But I was really quite depressed, and I said, what can I do? What can I do now that I know this?
Yeah, right.
And it sort of blossomed coincidentally into a speaking business that I thought would never be more than me telling people about the wonders of ketogenics, but it broadened very quickly into, well, if metabolic health is what improves neuroplasticity, and neuroplasticity is one of the basic foundations of good leadership and good business, and I have that background as well, wouldn't it be interesting if we could combine those two things to help people not just work better physically, but mentally, and be more resilient, and not in that, like, drum circle kind of way, which does have a place. It's not a place that I go to. I've never been to a drum circle, and I have no rhythm, but so that's I spend nights in the
No, you
emergency
don't
department
say.
now. I know, I have no rhythm. So speaking of that, I have a walkout. So when I do like big keynotes at big national conferences, I have a walkout, and it's I Got the Power by Snap.
Oh, there you go. I love that.
Fits my brand. Well, there is nothing more awkward than me in a dress and heel, just
Oh
trying
my
to. The
God.
audiences are like, I think they're
I
like, oh dear, this is going to
I
be
have
45
got to
minutes of.
see I have got to see video
It's
of
really
that.
quite. It does wake an audience up because they're all like
Oh my
horrified.
God.
So
Oh, I
that's
love
that's my
that.
that's my nutshell. That's my come to keto health.
Come to keto moment, right?
It's my come to keto moment, and I have not looked back. People ask if it's hard, because I'm about 90, I would say about 98% carnivore. Most carnivores don't do like any sort of seasoning other than salt. I will sometimes every now and again put something other than salt, and every now and again I'll use some allulose. But
Okay.
I've gone from vegan to I haven't had a vegetable in about 2 years.
Oh dear Lord. Like
Right?
your pendulum had just
It's
but
interesting. It's saved a lot of money on groceries. I'm sure your
yeah,
patients say the same thing,
right.
because when you eat whole, healthy food, you're not buying crap, you're not
Yeah,
snacking,
right.
and you're so easily satiated that you actually save money on food, because what you're having is such high quality that
Right.
it's I can't imagine going back.
Okay. Yeah. And again, just such an amazing story. But when you're living it, like you said, and you spent every other waking moment reading about it and
Right,
learning about it and trying to understand, oh my gosh, why don't I know about this? Right. You know,
right,
and again, you started your story by saying you're a physician and you're getting incredibly ill and you don't know why.
right.
Right, and I'm right there with you. My undergrad degree is in exercise physiology. I've always loved exercise science and nutrition. I was the 98-pound weakling when I was in high school, this big around, drinking 3,000
Right.
calorie shakes to gain weight, and I thought I had that metabolism that would just never break. So
Don't we all?
when it did, and I f and again, I wasn't just overweight, like, I felt terrible, all kinds of symptoms and all kinds of things, and then but in my head, the lie that I kept talking to myself about was like, "Look, all you gotta do is eat less and exercise more. You'll be fine," right?
Calories in, calories out. The big
When you
lie of
decide it's time, right? Just do what you've always done and it will be fine, and so I did. I finally when I had to hold my breath to tie my shoes, I'm like, "Okay. I'm out. Like, this is it. Like, let's do what you know that you're supposed to do." And so I ate less, I exercised more, and absolutely nothing happened except I got hurt. Like, oh my God, like I can't do this. And that's why I gave up because I had no context for insulin resistance, for metabolic health, for any of that stuff. Right?
and being overweight too, just the sheer fact of being overweight is depressing, not because it's depressing, but because that inflammatory state in your brain has been shown in numerous that's poor
Is
grammar.
that
Sorry, in innumerable
is that a
studies.
word? I think you just created a word.
I feel it's a word. I feel no, it's definitely not a Scrabble word. It's been demonstrated in many studies that the pro-inflammatory. In fact, the work of the metabolic mindset, the network, the
Mm,
Basinskis and things like that.
mm,
Chris Palmer, Georgia Ede. It's
yes.
crazy in that the people who are you put them on a ketogenic diet and patients who are inpatient schizophrenics, bipolar, depressed, on a ketogenic diet resolve their symptoms and they improve their metabolic health. Well, they go hand in hand, right?
Right.
And so, yes, are people who are heavy depressed because they're heavy? Yes, but the heaviness, the inflammatory state is so neurotoxic in and of
That's
itself.
it. That's it.
And when you look at the GLP-1s and medications and semaglutides, like, oh, they improve people's metabolic health and their um, brains improve that. Yes, everything improves. But unless you fix the eating, I mean, there's been a number of studies, I won't use the word again, but there's a number of studies that have shown that a ketogenic diet actually naturally raises your GLP-1, your enzymes,
Definitely.
over any of these studies or
Yeah.
these medications.
Yeah.
And
Even more.
why would you, if you can go and have a steak and have some really good quality farm eggs and have some bacon and everything in butter, why wouldn't you do that rather than injecting yourself with something that has horrible side effects to it?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
It would have
Well,
made sense to me when I was a vegan, though, because
okay.
I'd be like, oh, I can't eat that.
Right, 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 right.
And
I can't
please
change my
understand, I'm not disparaging of those who people. There are religions who don't eat meat. I'm not disparaging of that. I'm not saying I mean, I'm Jewish. I eat bacon now, but I'm tattooed and I'm married an Irish Catholic. So
Wired differently is I kind of feel like that just says it all.
my theme, wired differently,
Well,
delightfully
so
awkward and wired differently.
so and again, not afraid to speak her mind, which is why I'm so excited to
100%.
have you here. And it's a big part of your story. Um, so uh, lessons learned from the ER. So
Yeah.
how does an ER doctor, like, to me, once you understand this stuff, you can't unsee it all around you, right? And from the interviews I've seen and some of the things that you've said, I can't imagine being an ER doc and knowing now everything that you know. It's got to be driving you crazy, and having interesting conversations in the ER.
They are interesting. It's very, if I didn't have the occasional success where you have a little light bulb moment with the patient that like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Or a light bulb moment with a colleague. We have
Mm.
a non-quiet group of carnivores that I've gently converted using science. Actually, in my book, I talk about one of my colleagues is, so I work at all different emergency departments, some large, some small. And I'd worked at one little freestanding emergency department. And although my life is 99% chaos in the emergency department, every now and again you have a minute or so that you just sort of like take a deep breath. I'm a bit of a cloud, shockingly enough. And I was working on a presentation. It was actually a neuroplasticity and mental health presentation. And this nurse had walked by and he was sort of looking at it. He goes, what is that? And I was, oh, this is my life when I'm not here. And he's like, that's interesting. And he goes, because he was heavy, because my wife's heavy, we're having a hard time getting pregnant.
Mm.
So I'm like, well, let me show you a couple of things. There's some interesting data on this, and there's some great data on fertility and PCOS and stuff. So I
Yeah,
ran through
right.
it, and he said, can I get a copy? So I gave him 20 pages of it, and I didn't think anything of it. And 7 months later, I show up at a different freestanding, and he was covering the shift. And you have to understand that so Orlando's a kind of this huge place, and I may work with some of the same people all the time, but I may not see people for months. And he walked up to me and he gave me a big hug, and I'm like, I have absolutely no idea who. Oh my gosh! And I'm like, what happened? He had lost 75 pounds.
Oh my God.
Weight. He's and I said, he said, I read what you wrote, and he goes, I thought it was fascinating. I didn't know anything about it, and he committed to it. He and his wife committed and lost 75 pounds and happy as a clam. All of his health problems gone.
Mm-hmm.
GI problems gone, skin problems
Right.
gone.
Right. Yep.
And Nick Norwitz, who I'm sure you know of, brilliant, very underachieving MD, PhD, Harvard educated with like a top selling Reddit and YouTube channel. I'm like,
and he doesn't put anything out.
Oh, I know, nothing. Every 15 minutes, he's got like, and he always looks like well rested, which is bizarre to me. But he calls it the N of one.
Yep.
And it's the lowest form of scientific evidence, but there's millions of N's of ones out there. And I consider myself one. Many people, I joke that I keep getting nurses at work pregnant because
right.
Come to me, let me get you pregnant.
We've had that story too in our office.
Sure.
Yep. And as a chiropractor, and then I say, oh yeah, I got them pregnant. Wait, what?
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nope. It's a nutrition thing. It's a nutrition thing, right? And it's
let
so,
food be thy
exciting.
medicine and medicine thy health. And you can't, it's a very hard thing marketing something that you can't sell, because you have to. The thing about keto, and I don't know if you have found this as well, I have found it. If I explain it to people in a way that it's simple but hard, it's not easy. It's a very difficult thing to have people change their mind. Everything around the consumer, people with chronic disease, says things that are healthy are not. There's like that healthy snack aisle is nothing but foods that are going to kill you. People have been sold the lie that fat makes you fat and it's bad for you, it's going to kill you. Every cardiac patient, the doctor's like, we'll admit them upstairs, we'll cath them, make sure they're getting a statin, like stat.
Mm-hmm.
Like that night, like the statin. And I'm like, it's statins have killed more people. I think, and the rise of Alzheimer's in this country is tied literally, like, I think 18 months after statins came onto the market. That's when Alzheimer's disease in this country skyrocketed. It went from a disease of, every now and again you'd find a
Right.
grandpa or grandma who was
Right.
like memory issues, and now it's endemic. You take somebody off their statin, and it's amazing, their brains function again. It's almost as if the cholesterol that was surrounding every nerve in your entire body was necessary. It's almost as if you needed to have a cholesterol sheath, an LDL, to be healthy.
Right. Right.
It's almost as with, being on a medication that adds 3 to 4 days of life to you over a period of
Yes.
20 years is being sold to you as a lie by a pharmaceutical company who are generally so honest.
I just
It's a
heard that stat.
challenge.
I just
Did
heard
you?
that stat, and I'm
It's
gonna do the
scary, isn't
dive to
it?
go find that study that says it adds 4 days to your life.
So the average is, I think in males, 3 days, in females, it's 4 days. And I think the period of time they studied people, it was somewhere between 10 and 20 years. It's a very good study. And then you look at the adverse risk profile, and you look at the amount of chronic diseases in the patients who are on those medications. And, you're adding 3 to 4 days, but they're not 3 to 4 good days.
Yeah.
If
Well,
there
right.
was,
Right.
taking a medication that costs thousands of dollars a year, that causes horrible adverse side effects, to add 3 to 4 days, that's a bit of a Faustian bargain, isn't it?
Wow.
And I can't find a cardiologist who doesn't believe it.
Oh, well, you should get on my social media feed. I'll show you. I'll
I'm
show you a
sure you
few.
have. Well, let me
I
put it this
think
way.
my feed
There
looks
are
like your feed.
I think our fees. I will rephrase that statement. I can't find a cardiologist in the
There
hospitals
you
I
go.
work
There
with.
you go. Right, right,
Yeah,
right, right, right.
you are
Yeah.
100% correct. There's Peter, I'm gonna mangle his last name. Ovidia.
Yeah, Phil. Yeah,
Brilliant.
Phil. Yeah, yeah.
I love his book. His book is brilliant.
Stay,
He's brilliant. Stay off my
stay up.
operating room
I was
table.
just gonna
Yeah.
say, right? Stay off my operating table. Yep, I gotta track him down soon.
No, he's brilliant. And
Yeah.
the social media docs, yes, the people who have active practices, but they don't practice at the hospitals that I
Right.
work at,
Right.
which
Right.
is unfortunate because those are where my patients are.
So, Amy, I wanted to kind of dive into. I saw your TED talk, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. And again, that's where I kind of go with this: the being in the ER and trying to make a long term difference, right? Like when people
Right.
come to the ER, when especially if they're coming at night, there's a life or death situation going on. They don't want to be there. They've kind of got to be there, and
Right.
you're trying to save them. Number one. And then number two, to have a lasting impact on them. Talk to me a little bit about your frustration there.
So, yeah, it's a huge frustration. And the TED Talk was one of the first when I became like really passionate about helping people. Like, well, I've always wanted to, it's a bit of a challenge. I'm not normally a stage person. High school plays and things like that. And if everyone wants to see that brilliant TED Talk, it's TEDx. Just go to YouTube, TEDx Amy Gutman.
We'll put a link in
And
the show notes.
oh, that'd be very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the challenge always is, and I'm not casting aspersions on any generation, but talking to people about their weight and their unhealthy habits, people do not, oddly enough, people don't respond well to that. People don't want to hear that smoking is bad for them, that their weight's bad for them, that their blood pressure is bad for them, that they don't want to hear that. I want to feel better now, go
Yep.
away.
Yep.
They don't want to hear it. And it's often met when I'm saying, hey, listen, I'm not saying that you're a bad person. You have very bad habits. And if you
Right.
do not fix this now, There was a week that I ended the week and I had lost, I think, 6 or 7 patients to cardiac arrest or whatever, who none of them were above 40. And
Wow.
I used to
Wow.
go into work and I'd be like, okay, people who are at the end of their life cycle, it's 80, 90, it's not fine, it's not good, but it's not unexpected.
Right.
And
Right.
now the rise of metabolic disease, 85% of the patients, I say this in my TED Talk, 85% of the patients I see on a
Yep.
nightly basis have a chronic disease. 74 to 76%, depending on whose data, but 74 to 76% of all non-communicable deaths, so diseases not from a communicable disease
Mhm.
globally, are due to chronic illness.
Yeah.
Where's the outcry? Where is the outrage when almost 75%, 3/4 of the deaths are preventable deaths, and many of those are due to what we're putting in our mouths. Diabetes, oh, it's just, it's diabetes. It's not just diabetes. It's your kidney transplant, your dialysis, your cancers. People don't understand that being metabolically unhealthy causes cancer.
Right.
And so I'm often met with anger. Well, I just fix my sugar. Just give me some antibiotics. Don't talk to me about that. You're rude. You're mean. I get written up constantly. How dare she talk to me about? I last week I was doing a locums job, and I'm like, I only got written up 3 times. Wow. And it was people who people who are alcoholics who came in. I'm like, maybe this is not good for your liver. And then, yelling at me because how dare I? And I hear people, I'm addicted to. Okay, I didn't say you're a bad person. I'm saying these are bad behaviors. I can't help you unless you do something.
Right. Right.
And so it's a constant frustration. A lot of the exhaustion from my job, John, isn't because I work long hours or long shift. Exhaustion from my job is literally spending the majority of my time trying to fix problems that people refuse to fix.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult thing when somebody comes to the emergency department in pain or suffering or with a very avoidable thing. People coming in, so I had a little infection in my toe, but I can't really feel my toes. So my sugars are out of control.
Mhm.
And so I've been eating these shakes and they're nothing but crud and they're raising the blood sugar. Like, oh, I have the Ensure diabetes shake, so that's healthy for me.
Yeah.
And I come in and I'm like, you're going to lose your foot.
Yeah.
You're going to lose your foot. And they look at you and it's soul sucking.
Yeah.
It's
I can't even
soul
imagine.
sucking.
I cannot even imagine.
Yeah. So that's where the TED Talk came out of, because I'm like, I wonder if I could reach people and not offend people. And then Ted slapped a trigger warning on it, because although I specifically say on my job, I do not shame, I do not blame,
Right. Right.
but I hold people responsible. If somebody comes to your office and they're 300 pounds and my back hurts and they want you to do an adjustment and them to walk away and them to feel fantastic, that's unreasonable. It's unreasonable. You have to be willing to put work in. It is simple, but it is not easy. You have to put the work in to be metabolically healthy. I put the work in every day because I always consider myself a work in progress. I am not going to be doing an Ironman. I will tell you that. I will watch it on TV.
Yep.
I think I'm okay with myself at this point, but I just added resistance exercise in
Yeah.
because I'm like, I'm feeling that I need my bones to be a little bit stronger. So every day I try to challenge myself, and it's very interesting. Some of the conferences that I've spoken at about metabolic health, they're like, you do not look like we expected you to, because they expect like a supermodel with abs who's muscly and slim. And I'm like, this is the body of somebody who was 200 pounds more than once in her life. I'm 5'1". I am not going to have supermodel abs unless I find a brilliant plastic surgeon. That's okay. That's why God invented Spanx, I think. I don't know. But health is not, health is so physiologic, and that's your brain as well. And if you want to live a healthy, resilient, just life that you are thinking at the top of your game, there is nothing better than a ketogenic lifestyle for that, whether you're carnivore or ketogenic or whole foods ketogenic. It's hard as a vegan, but you can be a vegan keto. It's very hard. You really have to be a
Very hard.
vegetarian to do it. Yeah. Vegetarians can, but it's still super tricky.
Oh, the protein
Um,
aspect of it is so
the
hard to
protein,
fulfill, right?
the fats they can get. I think that the pescatarian, that's like if you can get to pescatarian, and then
Yep.
it's just one more step. But even whole foods, unprocessed foods, that will get you about 80% of the benefits of keto, not all of them, because you don't have the cholesterol that's necessary, but it will help.
Yeah. So, one of the things I'm super excited about is you've got a book coming out, right?
It's my baby. It took longer than my baby. My baby
Uh,
took about 7 months. He was a little bit early. This has taken about a year. I'm
right?
very excited about it too. I saw the trailer and I did not know that editors make trailers. They sent me a trailer and I was crying. And then
Oh
they
my God.
mispronounced my last name, and then I cried some more
Thank you
after a
for
year.
thank you for sharing that with me. I watched it and I'm all supercharged. I can't believe hopefully it's only going to be a couple of weeks. I wanted to read
No.
this. I wanted to read this description though. I will tell you, I read this description to another physician today,
Uh-huh.
who's been a client of mine, and we worked together. And he's like, when is this thing coming out? Because like I had goosebumps when I read this. So here,
I kind of had
so
goosebumps when I read it too, but let's
so
just hear.
so the title of the book, Powerhouse Living: Lead Your Life Like a Resuscitation. What if you could lead your life and your leadership the way an ER physician runs a resuscitation? Calm in chaos, decisive under pressure, and unshakably resilient. This isn't another fluffy wellness or motivational book. It's a science backed strategy guide to mastering your biology, sharpening your mind, and transforming burnout into breakthrough. By applying the principles of cellular science, you'll reclaim your energy, lead with clarity, and create a life that refuses to stagnate. Because to thrive, the first pulse you must take is your own.
All the
Damn.
feels, I know.
Damn. Like still, I got them again. I got goosebumps again. Tell us about what
I
is
would
in
read,
this book?
I would buy that book. Um, yeah, so after all like decades in the emergency department, you sort of have to keep calm. And you always, so as an EMT, so I'm 15 years old training to be an EMT, and they will tell you
God.
first pulse you take is your own. Because if you go into a room and you are scattered and hyperventilating and
Yeah. Yeah.
tachycardic
Yeah.
and excitable, nobody's going to pay. I mean, can you imagine if a trauma surgeon did that? No. So you have to learn self-control, because if you can control your mind, you can kind of figure your way around any problems. It applies to life and business. So what I do is I take these really crazy moments, which are all real. Some of the places and locations are sort of hidden or changed a little bit. So
We changed the
because
name to
it's
protect the innocent.
absolutely, because HIPAA, obviously. And
Right.
patients who I've mentioned in the book who have been more recent, I don't mention my name. I said, hey, do you mind? They're like, oh, that's great. And most people I've used their initials as well, because some people want to see their name in print, some don't. But every lesson that I've learned, either a difficult one or an easy one, is translatable on a greater scale. I say in the book is about me, but it's really not about me. It's how to take these interesting things and apply them broadly. There are about 200 footnotes in this because the
Wow.
science, I wanted to make sure, and it's not like a sciencey book,
Yeah.
but there's science throughout. I took one of the chapters about talking about dopaminergic adventures. Like, why I feel like a goldfish.
Is that a movie
sometimes-
coming out? There's a movie coming out, The Dopaminergic Avengers.
Oh, Avengers. Oh, that would be actually really
I
cool.
love
Maybe
it.
Marvel would make money on that. But like, why do you have midlife crises? Why do you seek random adventures? Why do you do things? And it's how does your dopamine system work? But how to use that to your advantage.
How to leverage that. Yeah.
Right, exactly. How to leverage your cortisol. I have a chapter on the arguing arts, on how I turned my worst enemy and somebody who thought was like the most evil person in the hospital into someone who I considered like, Uncle Jay to my son. And it's a lot of trying to figure out, well, critical care is critical, but it's applicable 100% to business and life. It is made for anyone, but specifically for executive leaders, because there are some amazing books out there in leadership. Jocko Willink, everyone approaches it from a different perspective. And this is the perspective of how to use science to kind of Jones every aspect of your life. You're biohacking easily, and a lot of it is metabolic. And cortisol, think about cortisol.
Yeah.
So cortisol runs our life, because if you don't master that, you can't master anything. And that comes down to 100% what did you learn in 5th grade biology? You learned that the mitochondria is what? What is the mitochondria?
The powerhouse of the cell, right?
It's almost as if I thought about that when I was thinking about the book.
Right.
And every
Powerhouse
aspect of my
living.
life. Yeah.
Let's
Powerhouse
go.
living. It is the powerhouse. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of your body and your mind. And if you happen to feed it well, it feeds you well. So it all starts on the cellular level. Leadership is cellular.
God, that's
100%.
crazy. That's so awesome. I love that.
I know. And it's, I'm very passionate about it, because, so last week I did locums at a little tiny speck of a hospital, fantastic staff, wonderful people, the world's greatest bacon in the morning. I don't know what they do to it, but it's kind of amazing. And so it was my usual chaotic thing, but we had one particular, I can't say because it's HIPAA,
Yeah.
one particular very, very challenging case. And it's a type of patient I'm not 100% comfortable with without backup, or I should say comfortable with at all, because it's a subspecialty case that requires a lot of intervention and monitoring and specialized equipment, and none of which you have.
Oh,
And it
geez.
literally is, it's life. It definitely is a life or death thing. And you just sort of have to go, all right, what do I have? What do I need? And smile. And if you don't keep calm,
Mhm.
everything goes wrong.
Right.
Everything goes wrong. And one of the nurses came up to me after, and she's like, I don't get you. I said, okay. Not the first time in my life I've heard that.
Right.
She goes, does nothing faze you?
Mm,
I said, it's not that it doesn't faze me. I said, but what would you do if I went in that room freaking out and yelling?
right.
Who would follow me? Who would listen? The first pulse you take is your own. It worked when I was 15. It worked when I'm 50. Oh, I'm 53, 54, 53. I'm in my 50s.
I've been wondering that the entire show.
I am 53, 1971. So so here's the problem. My profile picture, when my first 3 months of carnivore, I was white. Right, there we go. So my silver hair.
Yeah.
About 3 months ago, I'm like, it is harder and harder to keep my hair silver. What's going on? Well, my hair has like kind of reverted to this like brownish gray. My hair is no longer silver. I've sort of de-aged my hair. I've read about this.
Wow.
I've actually read about the
Wow.
physiology of it. It's kind of fascinating. My eyebrows were like gray, and now I'm just sort of not. And I love my picture, and I'm kind of sad.
So you're gonna have to get your hair dyed gray. It's
I
silver.
try, it won't stay. It won't stay anymore. I'm way too youthful.
Oh dear Lord.
But no, so I'm very excited about the book. It was a labor of love, truly. And
It would have to be.
I have a degree in English, and I haven't read a book. Literally, when I'm writing the book, I met with my editor the first week, about a year ago. And he said, well, how long do you want it to be? And I said, well, how long are books? He goes, well, what's the last book you read? I'm like, oh, I think it was like in college,
I was
or
gonna say,
like
when do you have
something.
time?
I know my book from my son. I had to literally look at my shelves and look at books. And like, well, how? Because I've read a few different books, like Ken Berry and Jocko
Oh, there
Willink.
you
I've
go.
read these
Okay.
books, but they're not. So I'm like, well, I guess maybe 200 pages. And he's like, okay, well, do you want pictures? I don't know. Do books have pictures? I literally did not even. And so I tried writing, terrible at it. And he goes, just talk to me. Tell me stories. And he said, I want you to have an agenda. Every chapter, we have a title and an agenda. And start telling me stories. And we're going to figure this out. And essentially, over the course of a year, dictated an entire book to a person.
Wow.
This is not AI.
Yeah.
We use AI to check the grammar, because we've already figured
Right.
out that my grammar is but no, it's me, and it's quite raw, and it's quite embarrassing, because I'm not, I was homeless at some point. I had no money, living in my car. And that's,
Mm,
you don't think about doctors that way. Like, well, we
no.
all come from somewhere, right?
Right. Right.
I have these horrible misadventures along the way. It's not necessarily a flattering picture, but life isn't flattering. But hopefully it's hopeful. And it would be absolutely lovely if it became, a book that people like, oh, this is fun to read, but I'm learning something along the way. And I swear a lot. So
So
there's
there's that.
that. Like
Well, but
the author's note, the dedication, they're swearing. And my editor's like, ooh,
really, right out of the gate.
ooh. I know.
So answer me this: are there pictures? Because I only
There
read
aren't.
books if there's pictures. What?
There's no coloring. So here's the
Not
thing about
even.
writing a book. Did you know that every picture you add to a book adds like an incredible amount of cost? And then that's a mitochondria. So
Not even the powerhouse.
I know. So here's the thing. I used my chat GPT to generate a beautiful mitochondria picture, my
Yeah.
own, not
Okay.
copyright. And
Yeah.
it would have added like $1,000 to the cost of the book. And I'm already
Oh dear Lord.
I'm like, I already used all my credit cards to pay for the book. I'm like, no. If people want to oh, what's a mitochondria? They can Google that. I know. I love mitochondria. The cristae, it is the sexiest organelle of the body.
I've
It's
heard you say
amazing.
that. Yes.
I know. Sexy. But no, I wish there were pictures, but the furthest I went for that is I hired a local photographer, and I said, I need you to make me look tall. She did not. And I said, if you can make me look not awkward in my cover picture, she goes, I have editing tools.
Yeah. Just say, I will do my best.
I will do my best, but I have no guarantee.
Oh God, too funny.
So I hope in 2 weeks, people like, it's powerhouse living. Lead your life like a resuscitation. Boom, boom, boom.
Right? No, but again, like to just read that part of it, I'm like I'm being resuscitated. Like I have been living my life that way.
But you have been, right? And
But no, now I'll be
it's
the
pointing to,
resuscitator, not the one
there you
being
go.
resuscitated.
Yep. It'll be linked to there's a whole book page. Apparently there's a whole thing that authors do. They have a whole author page, but it'll be on my Tough
Yeah.
Love MD website, so toughlovemd
Yeah.
expert. So if they go to Tough Love MD, I'm going to say it like again, Tough Love MD. You can, in about 2 weeks, you'll be able to buy your own copy, or
And that would be,
hire me from a conference for a conference. I will come.
yeah,
You
right.
can get a book. I mean, right there.
Exactly.
I would even sign
Exactly.
it for you with my
There it is.
doctor handwriting.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, coincidentally, the doctor that I just called the doctor out for his doctor handwriting because it only gets unreadable when he's writing down the carbs he eats.
Oh, fascinating. Well, we don't take nutrition in medical school, but we do take illegible handwriting for physicians.
100%.
Can I ask you this? So what if it's not violating his confidentiality, what type
Yeah.
of doctor? What's his specialty? Is he?
Oh, primary care doc.
Okay.
Yeah, we've connected, and I help his patients with nutrition.
So that was going to be my question. Is he taking this not just to heart for himself, but for his patients?
Oh
And
yeah, no.
that to me that's an ultimate win, because you're
Yeah.
not just helping one person. Think about all the people you're sort of helping down the road that, what is it? 7 something of separation of Kevin Bacon,
There you go. Right, 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
7
Yep.
degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? You're helping people. Well, 7 degrees of bacon, actually. I guess you could just say that.
And it all comes back to bacon, right? And why wouldn't it?
So that's wonderful that he's accepting of it, but he's also sharing with his patients. So that's an
Oh, like I
incredible
said,
win. That's a win for you.
once you see it, once you experience it, you can't unsee it, and especially if you're in the healthcare field, right?
100%.
Eh, Because
100%.
again, why did you go into it in the first place? To
Help
help
people.
people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I truly, so I went to this tech innovation convention yesterday, and I sat
So I
next to
heard.
it. I know, it's very exciting. I sat next to, I won't say what pharmaceutical company it was, but they make one of the semaglutides, and they have a new one coming out.
No.
And they do, because I mean, it's huge amount of money, right? So we said, oh, he goes, oh, emergency physician. I could see him like look at his phone. He goes, oh, I see what you do. He goes, do you want to sell these on the side? He goes, would you like to work with
Oh
us?
my.
And I said, because I think he thought that I had like a practice, that I'm like a weight loss clinic or something of that. I was like, no, I said, I said, I'd like to work with people like root cause. He goes, we pay you a salary to be a consultant. I said, why would you need me as a consultant? He goes, well, because we have, doctors. He goes, somebody forward facing. No. And I will say, and this was a room where billions of dollars being spent, and I wore a very cheap blazer. I did not know it was going to be a fancy event. And he offered me an obscene amount of money. Like I would have been out of debt amount of money to be a consultant for a year, but I had to pitch his product.
Right.
And I don't
Right.
believe in his product. Do the semaglutides do good things? Absolutely. They help a lot of people. Do they have horrible adverse effects? Yes, they do. Do they help some people get back to metabolic health? Yeah, but the problem is they don't learn how to fix their metabolic health. They go off the meds, and we know from the data from people who have gone off these meds, the impacts on their visceral fat, which is deadly, is profound. And then they gain the weight back, and they get sicker after these medications. This is not something I believe in or will put my name on. And he looked at me like, nobody turns us down.
Right.
And I would love to say that, I called my husband after. He's like, how much were they offering? I'm like, well, so here's the and it
You
was
can
one of
afford a
those
better
things.
suit.
I'm like, yeah, get my suits on eBay, like every good doctor.
No, again, like you said, it by itself, by itself, it's artificial. By itself, it's not doing any. Even when you say it
Right.
improves metabolic, it does it artificially,
Of
because
course.
if you're not taking it right, you have to address the underlying cause. You have to address the nutrition. If you
Right.
combine the two, and then you're able to then off ramp. If you've changed your nutrition, you've changed your lifestyle, and you understand all that stuff.
We
Right?
spoke when we spoke initially. My husband had done Ideal Protein before it became like a lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah,
He had gone to an office and like you have like these 7 packets a day, and then I'll see you
yeah,
every
yeah,
7 days, and you can have. And there was really no support. He was very successful. He lost a lot of weight because
yeah,
ultimately you lose weight because it's a protein based diet.
yeah,
But he never had any tools. He was given nothing, no
yeah.
support. And so the second he stopped having 7 packets a day or whatever, and it's obviously after we talked, I looked back into it. I'm like, wow, it's not even the same it's not the same protein
Yeah,
at all.
yeah,
It's beautifully designed, very supportive and very nutritionally sound, and also the support system for like, hey, this is why you're eating this way, right?
yes,
You have to
that's the whole
understand
point.
it. You have to
Yep.
understand it. He got none of that, and so
Um,
gained back
that's
the
so
weight
sad.
and more. And now his wife just harangues him, and he is keto carnivore and doing
S-
very, very well.
Oh, good for him. Yeah. Because I was going to say, just send him over, right? Just send him my way.
It's a bit of a trip
Because
from
I do
Orlando.
it. I do it virtually. It's all good.
I
Drop ship to your
should.
door. I do it virtually. And again, it's kind of hard to take advice from your spouse. It might be better to have a third
I'm
party.
very hard to ignore. You may have figured that out. I'm very, very hard to ignore. A lot of people disagree with me, but I'm very difficult to ignore, especially in
Is-
we have like, I'm looking around. I think it's like 1,000 square foot condo. I don't need much more than that, but trust me. I think you figured that out.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God. So Amy, thank you so much for spending this time with me.
Oh, John, thank
Um,
you so much. A pleasure.
yeah, we definitely we will put out information when your book hits the shelves. Our good so our friend we got the way that we got introduced, our friend Martin Gillespie.
His book
Um,
just came out.
yes, his book just came out. I love all his corporate related analogies to metabolic health, and you're you're your
Your chief metabolic officer. I think
you're
that's
your own.
brilliant.
So brilliant. I love that
And he
analogy.
says it with a Scottish accent, which makes it so much better.
So much better.
It's
That
just,
definitely. I love how
he's
I had him on
wonderful.
the show, and I just sometimes I would forget the next question because he just loved listening to him talk.
And he talk about someone who's overcome incredible things.
Yeah.
And his heart is so big. In fact, he he works part-time as a postal delivery. He's a very successful businessman. He runs a company. He was an executive for, I believe, AT&T for the longest time. And he loves postal delivery. And I'm like, how long does it take you? Because I can imagine you at every door, not just dropping off the mail,
Oh
but
no, he's
having a
hey,
conversation.
how are
How are
you
you
today?
doing?
Beautiful
What do you have in your
flowers. I
fridge?
love it.
Yeah. And he's wonderful. And that is the power of really cool people you meet
Yeah.
along the way.
Yeah.
He's introduced me to so many neat people, and I've introduced him to the very, as the more neat people that I meet, I generally find
Yeah.
other neat people. And it's a wonderful little community. And I'm very grateful to have found my people. I thought my people were vegans, and I still have a lot of vegan friends who
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
not that
It's
there's anything
okay.
wrong with that. But you know what? They are happy in what they're doing, and they are true believers in what they're doing. Fine. I'm not going to change their minds until something happens. And when they're ready,
Yeah.
that's when I can step in with the science, because I was them
Right.
and I would not have
Again.
listened. Nope, would not have listened. So I'm very grateful. And you have been an absolute delight. And
Oh, thank you.
I've loved our conversations. I've loved the fact that we talked through a tech problem today, and the two non-teenagers. Well, we turned it
Right. We
off
didn't
and
have
turned it back
any
on.
teenagers around.
No
Well,
teenagers.
isn't that what you learned at the tech conference?
I did. I
When in
learned that
doubt,
ask a teenager or a billionaire. I don't know. I had the most fascinating conversation about semiconductors. I still don't know what they are. But I know that if you own a semiconductor company, you have a much better suit and a much better watch than I do.
absolutely. I'm sure you do.
But my metabolic health is better, so I win.
Well, again, and you are calm in chaos, decisive
Yep.
under pressure, and unshakably resilient.
Unshakably resilient. That's what I want everyone to be. And so I hope
100%.
that we can learn some lessons. And I am grateful for spreading the message. So thank you so much, John.
All right. Thank you, Amy. I'm going to send you backstage real quick. I'll land this plane. Hang out for me there real quick, and we'll talk. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had as much fun as I did, but I'm sure you probably didn't. I can't remember when I laughed so much during a show. I love her amazing blend of science, of empathy, as a physician and as somebody who's had her own personal story of coming to metabolic health from a place of ill health, and her sense of humor. I hope that we're going to be able to get Amy back on the show. We'll find another topic to talk about, definitely. So, as always, like I like to say, please like, share, tell your friends about the show, put it on your feed, post it, send it out there. When Amy's book comes out, I will send out a notice as well. So anybody that wanted to grab that. But as always, please keep striving for your own life path.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Life Possible podcast, where we unlock the power of metabolic health to fuel your best life. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and download the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if this message resonated with you, share it to someone who needs to hear it. Let's spread the power of life possible together. For more inspiration, insights, and exclusive content, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Thanks for tuning in. Keep striving, keep thriving, and remember, your best life is within reach.